Good evening, everyone. Here's what's happening. In an historic appearance before a joint session of Congress today, Solidarity leader Lech Wałęsa told the American people that their aid to Poland will not be wasted and will never be forgotten. The 46-year-old electrician from Gdansk received a 5-minute standing ovation when he entered the joint session. He had come a long way since being accused of treason by Poland's communist government. Wałęsa became the first foreign private citizen to address a joint session since Lafayette did so in 1824. He thanked Congress for its aid, but said Poland needs much more.
Nie prosimy o żadne datki, ani filantropię.
We are not asking for charity. We are not expecting philanthropy.
Pragniemy natomiast, aby nasz kraj był traktowany jako partner i przyjaciel.
But we would like to see our country treated as a partner and a friend.
Earlier, Wałęsa used a breakfast meeting with the congressional leadership to lobby for more aid. He called assistance to Poland and other Eastern Bloc countries an investment in the future of peace. And he said those countries need more than words of praise and encouragement.
We have heard many beautiful words of encouragement.
To dobrze, ale jako robotnik i człowiek konkretnej pracy powiem, że podaż słów jest na świecie wielki, ale popyt na nie maleje.
These are appreciated, but being a worker and a man of concrete work, I must tell you that the supply of words on the world market is plentiful, but the demand is falling.
Today, President Bush called on the American labor movement and the business community to find ways to invest in partnerships in Poland, which he said the Polish people need and deserve. 3 more hostages may have been taken in Lebanon, bringing the total number in captivity to 21. A group no one has ever heard of claimed today to be holding a 56-year-old American journalist from San Francisco named Deborah Farrand. The Organization of Just Revenge also says it has kidnapped a West German and his 7-year-old son. Photocopies of passports were shown as proof, but the kidnappings have not been verified. A tornado touched down in Huntsville, Alabama late this afternoon, hitting a shopping district, a residential area, and a school. At least 5 people were killed. Others remain trapped in vehicles and buildings. Heavy equipment has been brought in to rescue them. Damage is said to be widespread. A 48-hour safety check is underway at Navy facilities around the world, including those here in the Delaware Valley. Today is the first full day of the stand-down ordered yesterday to end the recent string of fatal accidents aboard Navy ships. Jacqueline Bolden reports.
We're looking for corrosion, missing safety wire.
Mechanics at the Willow Grove Naval Air Station were looking for whatever problems they might find in their aircraft. It's not an unusual procedure, except that it's usually done by just one mechanic.
Today we've got 4 or 5 or 6 people out there where they have their supervisors, their quality assurance personnel explaining how to do the inspection more thoroughly, how to do it more safely.
Okay, when you're ready, put your hand on the rail.
Others spent the day practicing emergency drills, ditching out of aircraft.
It's one thing to read in a book, and we do that constantly. That's part of being an air crewman or being a maintenance person in the Navy, is we have to study and keep up on our procedures. But when we actually go out and we're forced to walk our way through it, we get more effective training.
Here, too, at the Naval Shipyard in South Philadelphia, crews on board 3 frigates in port were beefing up their emergency training and scouring ships looking for problems.
My intention is that they look at spaces other than where they normally work. We get a fresh set of eyes in, and they can look for fire hazards, flammable liquids improperly stored, damage control gear. Is it in place? Is it ready to be used? And what other type of hazards you might find on a ship.
Neither local facility has a history of accidents or problems, but accidents elsewhere led the Navy to impose the temporary stand-down, hoping 2 days of intensive emergency training will reinforce procedures that may sometimes be taken for granted. In South Philadelphia, Jacqueline Bolden, the 10 o'clock news.
Last night, a 10 o'clock news investigation revealed allegations of police brutality within the Philadelphia Police Department. Tonight, Dan Meacham has the story of another alleged victim who says he plans to sue the police department for damages.
21-year-old Kimmy Wand says he was stopped by Philadelphia police 3 years ago for erratic driving, put in a paddy wagon, taken to Central Detectives, and interrogated.
Detective Salmon said, "Don't mess with me because I don't like niggas. I don't like them, and I know I have a good time with you."
Wand says he was forced into confessing to scores of car thefts by Detective William Sammons and Sammons' partner, Michael Anderson.
He just gave me a backhand across the face, my left side of my face. I was hit about a good 40 to 50 times, just between the two detectives, Sammons and the other detective, his partner.
Last night, we reported that 90 cases involving 171 charges have been dropped by the district attorney's office over the past 2 years, all where Detective Sammons was involved in obtaining confessions. Many were cases involving stolen cars.
He said, tell you what, I'm gonna make it real easy on you. See that box right there? It was an index box on his desk marked stolen cars. He said, I'm gonna take all of these right here. It was about a good 60 of them, and I'm gonna put them on your rap sheet.
Police records show that Wand confessed to 48 auto thefts. During his trial in March of 1987, the DA's office agreed to drop all charges but one in a plea bargain that sent Wand to jail for 13 months. Wand says he is innocent of all charges and accepted the plea bargain because it seemed like the best alternative. Public defender Brad Bridge was involved in the early part of Wand's case.
You don't have to bang them up very much. All you need to do is threaten them and say, if you sign this, you can go home now. Or if you don't sign this, I'm going to send you to jail, and in jail, you will be raped.
Sammons, police officials, and the DA's office will not comment on the case. Meanwhile, Sammons is being investigated by police and has been reassigned to desk work here at the Roundhouse. His partner, Michael Anderson, is now working in the sex crimes unit. At police headquarters, Dan Meacham, the 10 o'clock news.
Coming up, too much alcohol can be bad for your heart, and we will begin a series of special reports on the dangers of steroids. Abortion opponents throughout Pennsylvania celebrated victory today following last night's passage of an anti-abortion bill. Tonight, almost 100 pro-choice activists held a candlelight vigil at Independence Hall to mourn the loss of abortion rights for women. The legislation approved by the state Senate includes the most stringent restrictions in the country. Last-minute attempts to revise the bill failed. Researchers have discovered 2 new ways to treat Parkinson's disease. The University of California researchers genetically implanted altered skin cells in the brains of rats to make them produce L-DOPA, a chemical that is lacking in Parkinson's patients. The study showed that symptoms of the disease can be reduced. However, it is not yet ready for human testing. Graduate Hospital in Philadelphia, along with other out-of-state research centers, are testing the drug Deprenyl. They have found that it delays the onset of symptoms in people with early Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is a nerve disorder marked by muscle tremors, stiffness, and loss of balance. It affects about 1.5 million Americans. In other medical news, a Boston study showed that a daily drink of alcohol may cause enlargement of the heart. The results indicated a link between alcohol consumption and enlargement of the left ventricle, which is the heart's main pumping chamber. When the left ventricle is enlarged, it may be dangerous and cause irregular heartbeats, which increase the risk of heart failure. Researchers suggest anyone over the age of 50 and anyone who already has an enlarged heart would be better off not drinking at all. Steroids are natural bodybuilding drugs that have been available in synthetic form for 50 years. In the past 20 years, they have been used illegally by some world-class athletes, and now there is evidence that young people follow the big athletes' example. As Dan Fiorucci reports in part 1 of a series, Steroids, the Power Drugs, following that example can be dangerous.
September 1988, and Ben Johnson runs to a steroid-powered victory in the Olympics. But Johnson's gold medal and world record were taken away. Johnson had been using anabolic steroids, synthetic derivatives of natural bodybuilding chemicals that can bulk muscles up. Although steroids do build you up, taken in large amounts, they can probably hurt you. There's some evidence linking steroids to heart disease, high blood pressure, liver problems, and prostate cancer. Excessive steroid use can cause atrophy of the testicles and temporary sterility. Other consequences of steroid use are facial hair in women and severe acne. And there is limited evidence linking steroids to violent temper tantrums known as steroid rages. Some athletes risk these side effects because steroids build muscles and promote quick healing when a player is hurt.
This is common among professional football players who make their living spraining ligaments and injuring, minor injuries as well as major injuries. And not only do they have more energy and are they more aggressive, but they can also recover sometimes more quickly from a minor injury.
Who uses steroids? Inside sources say perhaps 50% of pro football players. A national survey says 20% of all college athletes. And depending on which national survey you read, 5 to 11% of high school students, athletes and non-athletes alike, have tried them.
We're looking at that 6.64 or 6.7% use at high school as an absolute minimum figure, and it's probably higher than that.
The steroid problem can only be described as America's newest drug epidemic.
I played football in high school. I played defensive line.
Tommy Chaikin was a lineman at the University of South Carolina. He abused several different kinds of steroids. They bulked him up, but also put him in a dangerous state of mind.
Most of the guys that I was competing against were, larger than I was. So I felt that I needed something to give me that edge.
Chaikin's father found him in his dormitory room with a gun pressed beneath his chin and in the throes of a suicidal depression.
I just didn't have any control at the time, It wasn't very rational at all.
Chaikin is just one of an increasing number of college and professional athletes who are speaking out against steroids. On special assignment, Dan Fiorucci, the 10 o'clock news.
Tomorrow night, Dan will take a look at why teenagers use steroids. Still to come, a plan is in the works to keep our professional sports teams in Philadelphia. But first, Billy Elias will have more on some killer storms that hit the southeast this evening. Former Pennsylvania Commerce Secretary James Pickard announced today that he will seek endorsement from the Republican Party to run for governor of Pennsylvania. In a news conference at the Capitol, Pickard explained what he thinks the Pennsylvania economy needs.
This morning, we must establish an economic climate that says yes to business and no to higher taxes and unnecessary regulation.
Pickard served as Commerce Secretary under Governor Dick Thornburgh. He is opposed to abortion and is considered to be a traditional conservative Republican. Billy Elias is here. Lots of weather news tonight, so I'll let you get started.
And boy, you said it. We've got all over the country, from heavy snows to tornadoes, and we're going to just jump right into the whole thing. Around here, though, we had a pretty nice day despite the cloudy skies. We had nice temperatures. 71 degrees, 60 degrees was the low, 55 and 37 are the normals, so how about that? Well, there are your records and your sunrise and sunset times. Right now, still pretty comfortable outside, 63 degrees, 97% is the humidity, 29.75 and falling is the pressure. Winds out of the southeast to 10 miles per hour, and the rain that we've received at the airport today has only been about 7/100ths of an inch. Current temperatures still pretty comfortable, generally in the 60s, just all over the place. 66 in Allentown and for Reading, 61 for Wilmington, 63 Millville and Atlantic City with 62. Outside, the radar is pretty quiet for our vicinity. We do have a few scattered showers way out in the Atlantic, but basically the heavy weather is over sections of Ohio stretching down into the Virginias, and the showers are all moving to the northeast very rapidly at about 25 to 40 miles per hour. Our only concern this evening is going to be the increase in the threat of showers as the night wears on, and again, the fog and the haze. Now, of course, we have a lot of weather going on over much of the country, and a lot of it is in the east. Very wet weather throughout, from Ohio all the way down to the mid of the Gulf Coast states, causing some very heavy rains there. Fort Knox, Kentucky received over 2 inches of rain. In contrast to that, we have very frigid and heavy snow weather over portions of the Great Lakes where they have heavy snow warnings in effect and gale warnings as well. Temperatures very, very cold, 25 degrees below zero, the wind chills in the northern plains states today, and all of that cold weather is moving in our direction. However, the contrasting air masses, the very warm southerly air that we have been experiencing, is contrasting with that colder air, causing some very violent storms with winds gusting up to 100 miles per hour around portions of eastern and western Illinois, down through portions of Tennessee, and causing violent tornadoes. We still have tornado watches and warnings in effect from portions of North Carolina right down to the Florida Panhandle. This is the infrared satellite picture showing you where those heaviest of storms were most likely to be. This is going to happen all night long, and all of this is sliding towards the northeast. I don't think we're going to have a problem with the tornadoes, but we will be seeing some of these heavy showers and maybe even some thunderstorms in our area by tomorrow. But in the meantime, we can expect to see is cloudy skies overnight, look for some showers in the morning, and possibly even some flurries. Very cold word there by Friday morning. But let's shape it up in our forecast for tonight. Cloudy, rain developing overnight. Look for some fog and haze, 58 to 62 degrees. Now for tomorrow, Look for rain most likely in the first half of the day. It's going to be windy all day, but the wind's becoming northwest at around 20 miles per hour. And those high temperatures of about 68 degrees will happen in the first half of the day because the thermometer is going to drop after that. Look for showers and the possibility of thunderstorms at the shore and at the Poconos. Temperatures mid-60s. Tomorrow, just call it wet, windy, and warm for the first half of the day. The wet and windy may continue throughout much of the day. And look for the temperatures to drop considerably by tomorrow night. We'll see a low of about 33 degrees and maybe even some flurries for Friday morning, but becoming partly cloudy for it looks like now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But temperatures remarkably colder, generally mid to low 40s.
68 on Thursday and flurries on Friday.
Yep, you said it.
All right, thank you, Bill. Is there a deal or is there not a deal to keep the Sixers and Flyers in Philadelphia? Howard will answer that when we come back. And injury...